Right, you are live, it says on screen, as I say each and every week, because I have no idea how to start these things off when it comes to the actual audio bit. But yes, that's what it says, we are live. And hopefully at this point then, some pinging and some notifications will be going out to subscribers, and you'll be joining us shortly. Indeed, we've got 1 or 2 people already. Excellent stuff. You see, they're ready and eager on a Sunday. That's what we like. And not only that, but I can imagine that you're getting ready and eager for various things, considering with, 39 days out from San Diego Comic-Con day 1. We've actually got one of my guests sat in the behind-the-scenes bit, and Luke's face has just dropped as he's just suddenly, the headlights are suddenly staring him well and truly in the face. Yeah, 39 days. It is definitely barreling down the pipe. As always, this is definitely your show, so please do jump in on the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Twitter, yes, I will dead name that particular platform. But yes, please do jump in on the comments. Let us know where you're watching from, what you're up to, and what are your plans going for San Diego Comic-Con so far. Are your accommodation all sorted out? I know that we've had 1 or 2 hotel rooms showing back up on Peak. A little bit further afield, yes, but we have got some rooms showing up, including, and something we're going to be talking about later. Have you seen this news about San Diego University offering up dorms for San Diego Comic-Con? Yes, everyone's definitely trying to find themselves a bed to kip in for this particular show, and everyone's getting really excited as well. People are certainly starting to speculate about what we can see. We've got Michael Pease joining us. Hello there, Michael. Good morning. And indeed, I'm hosting a panel. Right, we're going to be trying to talk to you in a bit. Okay, Michael, stick around because we'll definitely try and get you on board and talking about what we're getting up to. So, no, looking forward to our chat today, because if it is your first time going to San Diego Comic-Con, we've got Michael, who's a veteran. We've got Chuck, who's a veteran. I've been a couple of times. I like to think I know the lay of the land, but even I can learn 1 or 2 things. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, this conversation, as we have 2 people joining us today who've never been before. What are they letting themselves in for? Good grief. Is my opening credits going to show? No, it's not. Okay. Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to Talkin Con, a cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego. My name's Leonard Sultana, and each and every Sunday we talk comics, Comic-Cons, and all the stuff and nonsense we get to enjoy at such events. Welcome to you, especially if you are a father, if you have given birth to progeny. Happy Father's Day to each and every one of you. As somebody who is childless, that means I have free time to do this. But I've got 2 guests who are joining us. And if they are fathers, then they're neglecting their children by joining us on a podcast. What on earth are you thinking you're doing? Good grief. If you are joining us for the first time, however, because I've posted this on a couple of Facebook groups and also on the Reddit thread as well, and I think we've got a couple of people's attention, if anything, because of the theme of today's show. We are talking about attending San Diego Comic-Con for the first time. If that's you, you've definitely come to the right place, because hopefully we're going to give you a little bit of an insight about what you can expect in San Diego over the course of the weekend of Comic-Con. So looking forward to this. Whole bunch of people on the chat as well. Yes, I did have a little bit of a technical glitch there. Thank you, StreamYard, for not showing my opening credits straight away. But Chuck saying we can all hum it by now. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. And indeed, Toby's saying hello. Happy Father's Day to all the dads. And Michael P is saying hi, everyone, as well. Michael P is someone that I'm going to definitely try and chat to, whether it's via the chat a little bit later, because he is saying he's hosting a panel news from myself a little bit later on as well. We'll get into all of that as we get into today's show. But no, thank you very much indeed for joining us. The comment section is open. If you do want to jump in, let us know where you're watching from. If you are attending San Diego Comic-Con for the first time, is there anything in particular that you're keeping your eyes out for? Is there something that you're expecting to see? What are you expecting from your San Diego Comic-Con? Let's find out from two people who, if you have watched either a DC premiere or just podcast generally, you know these two because they are established names on the podcast landscape, especially when it comes to DC output and general nerd stuff. They are good guys, and it's a pleasure to be joined by Paul Edwards and Luke Bugg. Paul from DC World and Luke Bugg from Geek of Steel. Hello there, chaps. How the devil are you?
We are very well. Very excited for this. For many things in general, but this, I've been looking forward to this.
What is your anticipation level like at this point? On what kind of vibration level are you?
There's tremors.
Right, okay.
There's tremors when you announce that amount. How many days are actually ahead of us now? There's like, yeah, okay, we are getting.
It's actually 38. If you're going to be really strict about it, because of course you do also have preview night as well. Just to quickly check, are you 4 days? Are you going for the full door? 4, and have you got preview night? What have you got, the pair of you?
We are trying our best to get there for preview night, Paul, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. We are indeed. There's a lot of little bits going on before, but we're going to try and make it down for preview night as well. So
right. Well, I mean, the good news is if you don't have preview night badges, I mean, okay, let's just dive straight into it. We'll straight away with some hints and tips with preview night. And in the past, it has been something that people have talked about, just how essential is preview night badges. At the end of the day, it is a cold open for the con. It's to make sure all the cobwebs are out of the way, make sure all the booths are in place and all the power's up and running, that, you know, lights aren't going to turn off on the Warner Brothers booth at some point. It really is very much about getting everything in place. There are one or two bits and pieces when it comes to exclusives, but we'll talk about that as we go in, because that's something that has been kind of streamlined and changed, but certainly between when I first started going and where we are right now. Before we go any further, let's have a bit of introduction so people know who we're talking to. We'll start with Paul. DC World. You're actually embracing the word influencer. That's a bold move, sir, for a start. Influencer. So, tell you what, Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself and what's brought you to where you are at the moment.
So, for those that may not know me, I'm Paul Edwards from DC World in the UK. Just started off as a little Twitter page 10 years ago, and it took off probably 5-6 years ago once Warner Brothers found us more than anything, and we started getting invites and interviews and meeting great famous actors and events, and pleasure to share a lot of it with Luke and some of the other DC family as well in the UK. And the word influencers come off from there, really, as that's what we are. They call us now these things in the world where we influence not the outcomes, but our passion is DC and all these films, and we put our passion into the events, and we speak quite honestly about what we've seen or what we've experienced and stuff like that. So, yeah, if you sent me to see some romantic film, I'm going to come out and slate the hell out of it. But DC's my passion, and this is where I'm at. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
I know you post a lot about DC live action and DC animation. You're a big fan of those. Does your is it all DC? Is it comics? Where does your sphere of influence kind of or interest lie?
My passion's more the film, the TV, the cartoons, the animated stuff. Read comics. I got well into DC Rebirth when that all kicked off.
Oh wow!
before we moved house, I had a little comic shop near me, and I was going there every week, and I was finding out about the cover variants, and I was buying 4 or 5 copies of the same comic, and I've still got them in the drawer here. And it started becoming...
that sounds familiar. Yeah.
So yeah, and then I sort of stopped about 2 years after that. But yeah, I'm not heavily into the comics at the minute.
That's because you actually like still owning a house, and I appreciate this. That I completely understand. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Paul. Luke, a little bit of a potted history, sir.
Yeah, same sort of lines of Paul. I started sharing my passion for Superman. He's my main guy. He's my number one. Many years ago on Instagram. Back then, I had no idea that other people could see what I was posting. I thought it was just a way for me to share my photographs and have a library of all my collection, so I wouldn't buy the same thing twice. That didn't happen. But what did happen was the fact that I'd started finding like-minded fans from around the world. And with that, embraced more passions for sharing what I enjoy and speaking with more people around the world, including Paul. And from that, some fantastic situations came my way. I embraced those as well and became the Geek of Steel. So I started podcasting, reviewing films, going on what we like to call adventures, and just embracing as many parts of pop culture as I possibly could. That's
fantastic. I mean, it sounds rather similar to my kind of, I've got a whole bunch of people who have clearly joining us for the first time. Hello there, everybody. Might as well give a little bit of a history for myself. 2010 was the first time going out to San Diego Comic-Con. Lifelong sci-fi reader, lifelong comics reader of both DC, Marvel, across the board, starting certainly with like 2000 AD and moving through to Crisis, Warrior, and all the fun and games when it comes to comics. But comics is certainly my passion. But I like my genre stuff as well. And San Diego Comic-Con 2010 was supposed to be my first one and only San Diego Comic-Con as the centerpiece for my honeymoon. Well, that didn't go to plan, and we went back every year with only a couple of gaps in between, to the point where I was interviewing CCI staff, building up to the convention. That led me on to interviewing comics creators, which led me going to interview 1 or 2 celebrities online, which led me to then panel hosting, which I was invited to by MCon, to panel hosting, and it's basically just developed from there. So that's who I am. But I have been to San Diego Comic-Con a few times, which is why I'm open to this question. This is what I'm looking forward to getting started with. Paul, Luke, why San Diego Comic-Con, and what are you looking for when it comes to this show? I'll start with why San Diego? Why take the expensive trip to go out?
I'll let Paul take that one first of all.
Thank you. We talked about this from like end of last year, and it was one of them. It was a pipe dream thing at first, whether it would happen, whether it wouldn't, and then all of a sudden, as with everything in my life, nothing's happening for a while, then it all happens at once. And over the last couple of weeks, all these opportunities have hit us, so we've gone for it. And I'm 45 now, Leonard. This may be the only time I'll get to go to San Diego Comic Con. I don't know. But
right, dude, I'm 52. Chill your boots. You are not. You're the bairn around here. Calm down.
I'm married. We got business. Blah blah blah. So it's just timing's probably worked out for this one. I've had great to get to go on it with Luke as well, as we've got to know each other over the last quite a few years. So to get to go and do this, expectations are massively high. I think we've done enough of the UK cons to know how we work. It's going to be interesting to go and see how it all works out there. And then if we grab anything and get any bits along the way, it's a bonus. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
And I think that puts it perfectly. I mean, Paul said we've done cons. We've been to solo adventures, as we call it, up and down the country. My local hometown has recently had their first Comic-Con for 4 years now, so it's a baby event. So I've seen the good and bad of all events, but San Diego Comic-Con, that's the con that everyone talks about, and sort of they say go and check it out. And Paul said, we brought this up last year as a little, maybe we should go one year, maybe we should just go for it and see what happens, and it did. And then we've jumped quite a few out of a few comfort zones for this. As Paul said, the emails have been coming in thick and fast. It's made us more excited, but doing this trip together, it's, you know, it's somebody else there to help you, to give you some advice, to give you some guidance, to make sure that you're drinking and eating properly. Yeah. And looking after yourself. So we've both got our little planning books. We've both got a book each now.
Excellent.
We are filled up with questions and where we have to be and what we have to do. And we are going to try and just make this not a successful trip as such. We're not putting all our eggs in one basket.
Oh,
we're going out there to have fun. Yeah. That's the number one thing for us, is to go out there and have fun.
Cool. So if you only kind of landed things, started lining up ducks in very recently, I'm guessing then you are going out either as press or you're going on somebody else's kind of invite. Is that how it's working, or have you managed? How did you get yourself through the door?
Well, we the people that are funding this are each other. We're looking after each other on this trip, and you know, it's not one of those things. Sometimes people get lucky enough where they can be sent off around the world. You know, that's not us. we can get a bus on expenses these days, but we're going out there to have fun. We have, luckily, for over the years, we've built up strong relationships with companies like Warner Brothers and DC Comics for being open and honest and positive guys. We like to have fun online, and yes, we've both dealt with negativity over the years, but we've built up these relationships because companies like Warner Brothers and DC know what we can produce for them. It's going to be positive, original content from people that are passionate about the things that we love to talk about.
Fair enough. Which kind of gives me a little bit of a hint as to, like I say, where the passes have come from, because as you've probably been aware, just to get yourself a Comic-Con badge is a trial in itself. Both either pre-registration or open registration. It really is a fight through the door. But I can imagine then your contacts have been able to get you the badges, which is excellent. And that also then means that, like you say, you're able to kind of experience it, take it on board, and enjoy it more as a very much an enjoyable, not a busman's holiday, as it were. I think we'll go with that. Certainly, when we were talking prior to us coming on air about the possibility maybe you're going out as press, which I will be doing. And it is a totally different convention, because you do get yourself invited to interviews and to press rooms, but that means that's being held over at the Hilton or held somewhere else outside of the convention. So it ends up being two kind of different conventions. You do one or you do the other. It's very difficult to do both, as I've definitely learned. But certainly going to experience the convention itself, that's fantastic. Now, how much have you been studying the San Diego map then, to get the lay of the land and the general idea of what San Diego downtown looks like?
I don't know about Paul, but my Google Maps app, there are pins everywhere. I've been saving stuff. We've been looking at things every day about what we want to do and where we want to go. But yeah, it's exciting for us. So we know. I think Paul's been telling me where sort of there's some good food joints and where we need to go. As a team, we've been doing some really good studying, which is why these books are helping. I think with the help of Google Maps, we probably know San Diego now better than our own hometowns.
I think that's the reason why I enjoy going back. I mean, you're talking about going to cons here in the UK, and it is sort of like London Film and Comic Con at the Olympia. It's MCM at the Excel. It's all these different shows at the different venues. The thing about San Diego Comic Con, it is not San Diego Comic Con at the San Diego Convention Center. It's San Diego Comic Con in San Diego. It takes over the town. It's when they turn around and say we're looking at an estimate of around 160,000 people getting badges. You're looking at 200 to 250 who are showing up in town just for San Diego and for what happens around downtown, the offsites, just the general vibe of the city. It definitely takes over the town. So I think that when you step outside of the convention center, the con doesn't stop there. That's the best thing about it. It just filters out through the various venues and even the walkways of San Diego. It is a show that takes over the town. When it comes to your expectations about what you'd like to see, you've already said that obviously the films are a big part of what you do. Paul, are you expecting Warner Brothers to rock up with one hell of a presentation for the Man of Steel?
It'd be very nice to if they did. I don't know anything at this point of time, Leonard, but if they certainly did something for Superman, I will be well over the moon on this one. If they don't, I'm still going to go and enjoy it and see what else is going on. And it ain't just going for about that. So if they do a trailer or a little press thing on it, even better with us being there. And if they don't, we're just going to go and enjoy it all, check out all the merchandise, all the stalls. Been checking out some people's like YouTube walkarounds, and it is massive because I can see how you might not get around it in one day. So the 3 or 4 days is going to help. Yeah, and it'll help us plan where we want to go back to or go and explore other things and meet people. So it's nice. We've got quite an audience out there ourselves between us. So it might be nice to link up to some stalls and some companies that we deal with already, but face to face, it'd be nice to meet some of them as well. So yeah, everything else is a bonus, Leonard. Can't wait.
Fair enough. And has there been any terms that you've heard of that have made you start doing your plans already, such as Hall H? Has Hall H been discussed yet?
I mean, there's something that you hear about every year is this, you know, this iconic moment of queuing up all weekend to go in and get those exclusives. But it would be fantastic if we were to have an opportunity where we can go and witness that. But for us, I feel it's more enjoying the experience of traveling around the country to see this experience. I mean, yes, we're both British, so we are both very good at queuing. We know how to form lines and respect the law, as it were. But I mean, if there was something really,
fit in just well. You're going to fit in well.
That's great. But the Hall H is one of those things where people, they either do or they don't. So that's a question that we would like to ask you. That's definitely on my list. I mean, what is the process there of getting that to be a possibility?
Very much a good question. Last year, and I'd suspect to say the year before as well, it certainly changed the landscape for Hall H. If anything, because the major studios decided to dial back on their promotion, and Hall H was very much a quiet venue relating to previous years. It was certainly a different landscape, considering that there was nothing to really grab people's attention and draw 5,500 people into a room. It was a different room. However, Warner Brothers, if they decide to put a presentation on, Marvel, if they decide to put a presentation on, if any major company decides to show willing at San Diego Comic-Con this year, that could bring Hall H back to its glory days. Yes, it does get very difficult to get into. If you are, I mean, this is where I'm now going to be talking to the number of people that's in the corner of my screen who are watching, who are maybe going for the first time, and will be going as a standard attendee to get into Hall H, and certainly on what would be a day such as a Saturday or maybe even a Friday, that is going to take some investment. If you are wanting to get in the room, ideally you are wanting to be in that line, either from the close of play the previous day or maybe a little bit later. If you are wanting to be in that front third, then you are looking at investing some serious time to get into that room. If I can kind of zoom in on my map, then I mean,
please
the way that the Hall H,
we love a presentation, so this is fantastic.
Well, I mean, if my mouse can show up on screen, if you can just about see it, Hall H exists right here in this corner of the far end of the convention center, which means you then have a number of tents which are erected up here on the convention center park, lining up and down in a bit of a snake pattern. They come around here, and then the line goes all the way down there, and then all the way down there, and then all the way down there, and just keeps going. That is a busy setup.
Yeah.
I will say, for those that do want to invest that time, San Diego's really nice in July. The weather's really good, and the sea air comes off that harbour, and it keeps things nice and cool. And the sense of camaraderie, I think, is what kind of makes me go back if I do the camp out. And I have done the camp out on numerous occasions. And yes, I have sacrificed a Friday to do the whole thing. Yeah, we got Toby saying, "Show the pics. I know you've got some." I do have my hard drive plugged in actually, but it would mean wading through a lot of photos. But yes, it's a case of wanting to decide whether to sacrifice that time for a presentation on the big screen and on the big stage. Hall H is something which is contentious within the SDCC community, because people just go, why would you sacrifice that amount of time for one day or one panel on in a Hall H stage? It depends how passionate you are about that particular thing. And the one thing I think, Paul and Luke, you're definitely going to pick up on when it comes to San Diego. It's the reason why I keep going back. It's the pure level of passion that people have for gaming, for manga, for films, television, comics. Everyone's got a passion about something. Everyone is turning that passion up to 11, and there's 160,000 people with that passion. It's a heady mix, and it's that gets that makes people keep going back and want to keep going back. It is just, you won't get a bigger sense of tribe than when you go to something like this. I'm sure you felt it inside a convention when you've gone to one here in the UK. This is on a whole other level. It just takes it a whole other notch. So yeah, if you, I mean, this is where I am going to have to talk to you very much as possible invites of the companies of Warner Brothers and DC. It's very possible that you may get to bypass all of the queuing up bit, which is rather good. There is a bit of a side door if you're lucky, and it will be a case of there's a section usually at the front where the press sits inside Hall H, where you may get yourself some seats. So fingers crossed for you on that one. But if you are going to be queuing up, it can be done. Yes, there will be people who will look after you. I think if I want to get into macro detail when it comes to Hall H, you can go in as a team, which means a group of, I believe it was 6 people the last time. So you can camp out, put the towels down, get the sleeping bags out, and just kind of camp out on the sidewalk of Harbour Drive and down the Embarcado. But you can, in fact, have one person hold that team and hold that space inside the queue, and then other people can then just wander off, get some food. Maybe they've got other arrangements. They're meeting up with some people, but as long as they come back, the only thing that I would recommend is you put your time in if you are making a group effort to camp out. If it's just going to be yourselves, if it's Luke and Paul on their own doing a little bit of a tag team between the pair of you, speak to people around you. That you'll find that everyone is very accommodating. They're all there to enjoy themselves, and you are going to make more friends than you can possibly count. Because my Facebook list and the people who are currently on the chat right now are testament. You are going to make a load of friends who will just absolutely help you out. Certainly when it comes to going into Hall H on a Thursday and a Sunday, you don't have to necessarily make that amount of commitment. You can possibly get into the hall if you just show up maybe 2 or 3 hours early. If it's not even that busy, if it's not a massively popular panel, or if it's something that's a little bit more low key, that you will be able to get in with about an hour and a half's worth of investment. For Friday and Saturday, however, because the bigger panels are on those days, it is advisable to try and get yourself either some teams or some friends that will help you for Hall H on Friday and Saturday. Chuck is jumping in as well. Don't mistake cool breezes for immunity from sunburn. Wear sunscreen.
Already got it. We've already got that. I know Paul's got it as well. We're not mucking about.
Yes. I, on the Thursday of one of the conventions, no, this will be the second year, because Cowboys and Aliens was announced at the 2010 show. 2011, they actually did the world premiere in San Diego, which meant you could get yourself passes if you went on a bit of a treasure hunt, or as I did, I met Drew Struzan, who was a renowned film poster maker, and indeed the director of the film, Jon Favreau, inside the Hard Rock Hotel, which I decided I'm just going to wander down and see what the line's like. This is 4 hours prior to it, and there was already about 20 people there, and I thought, I'm not missing out on getting a world premiere pass to go and see this film. So I tell you what, I'm going to plonk myself down and line up for this thing, which is going to be in 4 hours' time. It was nicely overcast. It was first thing on the morning, and I thought it was going to be fine. 4 hours later, I was sunburnt into the goddamn ground to the point where I ended up looking like Zoidberg. It was horrific. Horrific, but so much fun because we were just surrounded by people who were also just really excited. So yes, it is deceptive. That cool breeze coming off the harbour very much can deceive you a bit. Yeah, the hat is not just for branding, my friend. It's for
safe. We will be. As I say, going as a team, we will be there to make sure that we are not getting overtired, not getting sunburned, not getting overexcited, or getting lost. Because I do have the tendency, if I see something shiny, I'm a magpie. I will go right at it. So Paul will have reins on me for most of the week, I think.
I'm going to put an air tag on him so I can find him.
Okay, I think that might work. That might work. I mean, Michael P is also saying Americans love English people. Yeah, just jack up the English accent, and you'll have so many people helping you out and giving you some advice. I find that I mean, I'm Yorkshire based, and the Yorkshire accent very much while I'm at home is in full effect. But once I get into so LAX or San Diego International, all of a sudden the received pronunciation suddenly goes through the roof, and all of a sudden I like I'm stepped out of the cast of Bridgerton or something without the abs, clearly. But no, it's very deceptive, but it can be done. Any other questions certainly when it comes to the lay of San Diego? Anything that you're kind of like wanting to keep your eyes open for when it comes to the actual downtown?
One question I think we've probably both got between us is like, I know, is it open at 9:30, 10 in the morning? But what's the best time to go and get there? Because our hotel is 10 minutes away. So what's the best time to get there to start queuing to go in the mornings?
Fine. Well, number one, whereabouts are you staying? Are you Little Italy? Whereabouts are you at?
We are at, I think it's Regency Hotel.
Right, so that is on the it's on the shuttle service, isn't it?
It's about 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. In which case, one of the best things that CCI and the city have ever done for San Diego Con is the free shuttle, and it will get you down by the convention center very quickly, and they blitz through the streets, and it gets you there rather quickly. When it comes to actually getting into the lining up for the actual show itself, that will be happening down the front of Harvard Drive. They do close the Harvard Drive down, the second best thing that the town has ever done for CCI, which is now for the duration of Comic-Con. This area here, Harvard Drive, is completely closed to traffic, and certainly the traffic in front of the convention center itself. It gives a lot more movability and kind of maneuvering around the front of the convention center. Ideally, you're looking to get onto the actual floor itself. If you are wanting to be front and center, actually through the door, first thing, you're looking sort of about 3-4 hours prior, just as the sun's starting to come up in San Diego. Get yourself down onto into the queues, and those will line up just down the front of the convention way, and will run just the front tents on Convention Center Park, because Hall H will then line on the next trap of those tents to lead into the actual building itself. What I will say, however, if you are not there for exclusives, and if you're not there to batter on the door and kind of get yourself literally be the first one through the door, don't do it. I would hang fire half an hour, 20 minutes, and let everyone pile in, which they will do. At which point you can just take your time, jump the get into the line as forms at that point, and make your way into the building. It really is a case of there are those that will absolutely line up for lining up's sake. I'm not going to lie, that will be me. Certainly when it comes to preview night, I do find myself in probably the Hall H line, or the line that forms above Hall H to come down into Hall I. Into Hall G, where just above Artist Alley. But that's usually just so it's, I mean, for myself and the missus, it's a chance for me to get the convention books, tear through those, have a bit of a read through them, meet up with people, catch up with everybody. We do a bit of a tag team, so Caroline will run off and see her friends that she hasn't seen in a year now, 2 years. Likewise for myself, and then back into the line. Certainly for the doors open, preview night will be around 5:30 in the evening. You only get a couple of hours when it comes to preview night. When I last went, they were showing TV presentations or pilots for shows, certainly on the WB, that kind of thing. I think they kind of knocked those on the head, certainly if not last year, then the year before as well. So it is just the floor that's open. When it comes to the actual convention center itself, though, once the crush has died down and all of those lines have filed in, it can be easy enough to just get yourself a door and get yourself in. Andrew Dickinson is saying the queues are actually to go inside before the doors open for the floor. So 20 minutes after the doors open, it is a walk-in.
Is it? Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, cool. That does help a lot. Thank you. Ooh.
Okay.
This is making me more excited, though. I've got to tell you.
First day, I think we will get there early just to experience all the stuff going on outside. Then probably going into the second and third day, we'll trickle in a bit later. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, Paul and I, we are people watchers. We love seeing cosplayers. We love seeing a town come alive. So to see this event on this scale, this is like the con for us to experience, as we said, at least once. But the way that you've been talking about it so passionately, who knows if Paul and I would go back to this con again. But if we fall in love with it, I'm a bit worried that we will just keep wanting to go back time and time again.
Dude, welcome to my world.
Yes, exactly.
This is where we damn near bankrupted ourselves going that first year, at which point, and this is 2010, this is when you could actually buy your badges the next for the next year that weekend. There was no massive online rush for it. There was no massive push, and I had $200 in my back pocket, and I was meeting my missus in ballroom 20. She was at a Sons of Anarchy panel, and I was walking through sales, which is which is in the center of the convention center, and they had all their booths set up, including badge sales for next year. And I just went up and bought 2 badges for the next year. At which point I then sat down next to her and said, "Do you fancy coming back next year?" And she just went, "Yeah." Oh. So we ended up, and that's where it all started. Let's have a look at what we've got here. We've got Michael P. Hall H line are based on color bands 20. Yeah, okay, we might as well quickly cover that as well.
Please do.
This is if you are wanting to get into Hall H. Like I say, those lines do form as certainly on the Friday and the Saturday, the night before, or even the day before. And it has been known at the height of San Diego Comic-Con fever, maybe 2-3 years ago. It is a case of sacrificing a whole day to get in for the next day's panels. What they had started to do around that time is the night before, they would hand out colored wristbands So that would mean that you were kind of allocated to that place within the line. It also meant that then you could then leave the line, go off and enjoy your evening, go off and enjoy a night's sleep in that hotel that you've paid so much money for, and then come back the following morning, take your space in the line, and line up as usual. The way they usually worked is someone would usually stay to make sure they had their space, and then they the rest of the group would then show up. But yes, it is a case of colored wristbands for where you are within the line. So yeah, Andrew Dickinson, 33 hours is our record.
Wow.
Listen, you say that, that's about mine as well. I'd say I have done an overnight, an overdayer. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Yeah, that was a long day. Yeah. But it also meant that as a team, you could then just sort of say there's 5 or 6 of you, off you go.
Yeah, just
in a couple of hours. Yeah, go off and in. Oh yeah, there's a Stan Lee signing. Off you go. Yeah, I've got an exclusive pickup. Go on then. As long as you come back, and as long as you are back, bands work like Andrew was saying. Bands work as long as you are back by 7:30. You are guaranteed a place.
Okay.
Determined to that line. So there we go.
Handy to know. Yeah, good.
So yeah. Anything? Well, other questions that you've kind of got in mind? Did I answer the other one?
That's the thing. I mean, we've been not secretive about us going there, but we've been planning this for so long. We wanted to sort of test the waters a little bit and let people know. We're actually going to be in a little bit later on. We're going live on our Instagram to explain to people that we are going out there. So you were one of the first people that were informed that we were going to San Diego, because we wanted to know the insider information, speaking with people that have been before. So we're looking forward to, over the next few weeks, speaking with more people that have enjoyed the con over the years, that are, as you say, veterans to the event, but also opening up the eyes of people that would want to go for the first time. We want to give people, advice on how to do things and how not to do things. We're going to make mistakes along the way. We're going to learn, but doing this, planning it so detailed is going to help us not only enjoy the experience more, but help us prepare for one of our biggest adventures to date.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm trying to find because Dan Berry is watching. Dan Berry is my senior editor on the Convention Collective.
Hello, Dan.
He is fully aware that I have a PDF to hand, and I know he's watching, and I know he can type really quickly. Dan, what do you think about me putting that PDF up on screen? It's a exhibitor's map for the convention center, although I can imagine if I put it up on the screen, I'm going to get absolutely blacklisted.
Don't do that.
I wanted to kind of certainly give you an idea of where on the floor that I suspect you're going to be wanting to kind of aim for. I'd also suspect for the kind of things that you're interested in, like I say, there are when it comes to if you are wanting to line up to get onto the floor as soon as you possibly can, if you're wanting to do the community thing of lining up for the convention center floor, 2 ways to get into the floor. You can either go into the sales pavilion, where there's a whole line snake of people who will camp out to then be led into the convention center and drop pretty much into the center of the convention floor. And then you've got the Hall H line, which then leads above Hall H and drops you down pretty much onto the far east side of the convention building. And it will then lead you into Artist Alley. For yourself, I suspect the sales pavilion would be the best one, because that will bring you right into the center of the exhibition floor. So yeah, we'll meet up, and I'll point you in the right direction while we're there. I think
we're looking forward to that. That's what we always enjoy doing. It's what Paul and I have done over the years. We've built our brands up, as it were, on our own backs. We've learned how to present ourselves and how to speak with passionate people and business type people, but it's always our personalities that come through. That's why I've always enjoyed working with Paul and going to events, because we still get giddy about the tiniest of things. So I know when we, even weeks before going to this event, we're going to have sleepless nights of just being very, very excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the plane journey, Luke. It's going to be like the longest trip with each other just on that plane. It's going to be great.
I'm going to, yeah, I would say I'm not going to be able to bottle up my emotions much. I'm going to be very, very excited.
Well, that's how it should be. Absolutely. By all means, everybody, if there's any advice that you would like to put forward on a general level, we've got 1 or 2 people who are jumping in already.
Please.
Which I'll let me just share this up on the screen first. That is the tent that I'm on about.
Okay.
Which is at the Convention Centre Park. What you can just see in the background there, the building is the Convention Centre. That is Hall H. But this is a grassed area, which is very well maintained by the city of San Diego, and it is a great place to kind of roll out a sleeping bag and sort yourself out for the night. It's very, very cool. I think has he sent me another one as well? What's this? Another picture. Yes. Now that's sales. That is where I'm on about. That is Sales Pavilion, and that is pretty much where. Let's have a look. That's taken from the far corner of Sales. So if you see where my mouse is at the moment,
yes,
that is the door that would then lead you in down the escalators and downstairs into the convention center itself. But no, there's a fair few people there, and that's that's Sales Pavilion. That's a fair old number of people. So yeah, you're in for a treat. Let's see what else we've got when it comes to some advice. Yeah, just generally, what's your footwear like?
Oh, we've got some footwear.
Yeah, I'm looking into that now. I'm going to get a nice, comfortable shoe, not a brand new pair of Dr. Martens. I did that one year. Fatal mistake. But yeah, footwear for me is going to be, number one priority. Good insole, good socks.
I would start breaking those in now.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a fair old size. You're going to be doing a lot of walking. Your steps on your watch or your phone is there's a spike, which is very, very noticeable. So yeah, get yourself the food to the shoes. Yes, get walking shoes at least 1 month before the event, and Andrew as well, making sure walking shoes are well broken in. Who, unlike me, bought Docs 2 weeks before Con 1 year. I had a pair of shoes which were very comfortable. They were my standard trainers, which split on the Thursday. So I went into town and bought myself a brand new pair of trainers, and then took them back to Hall H line. So I was all ready for the weekend. By Saturday, I could not put my shoes on. My feet were absolutely wrecked. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my
Andrew English is saying, don't forget water and backup power supplies as well. Make sure that you have basically your essentials you would be going on a fair old hike with. So we're talking energy bars, we're talking fruit, we're talking lots of snacks, lots of things to kind of pick out throughout the day. Trail mix is very good. So like nuts and anything to kind of pick out. Don't rely on the food within the convention center.
Good tip.
Because it's shit.
Okay, that's good knowledge. This is what we want. That's insider information.
They do the hot dog rolls, the rollover things. So they do those. They do pretzels, and that's about it. Pizza, I think, but it's very starchy. It's overpriced. If you can get yourself into town, you've got a Ralph's in town, which is excellent. You've got yourself lots of Subways kicking around. Grab yourself something, stick it inside the bag, and just make sure you have something that you can get into that line. And absolutely. Snacks is definitely the tip as well.
I've already got some lunch boxes to take Paul, so we're going to be safe, mate. I'm already got you there. I've got a pile of things that I've been getting over the last few weeks, and plasters and snack boxes are on that list.
Yeah,
very, very much so. Absolutely. Now then, what you like for you say your people watchers, what you like for your cosplay?
We are more fans of taking photographs of them than cosplaying ourselves.
That's fair enough. That's about right. Chuck Cook is saying, if you are interested in photographing cosplayers, the best spots are right in front of the convention center. So, like I say, they have now shut down the main thoroughfare that was used to be used for the shuttles. So they used to kind of go up and down directly in front of the convention center. Got a little bit dangerous for anybody coming out of the convention center. That's all pedestrian, and that's very much now where cosplayers do wander up and down. You can stop them. They are more than willing for you to just take a picture. They got dressed up to be admired and all that hard work to be photographed. I will also say, I mean, you've got inside sales pavilion as well. They're going to be wandering around, but they've also, I mean, Chuck is talking about around the back on the terrace. I'll talk about that in a second. They've also started when you actually first go through the doors of the convention center, pretty much any of the doors, there's an outer concourse before you actually get into the convention center hall. That used to be administration desks for CCI, so getting your badges, getting your press passes, getting all of those things. All of that has now been moved upstairs into sales, which means they've put up, just like Paul has, that big CCI banner directly behind him with the branded logo. And that has now turned into a great place for cosplayers to set their stall, have people come up, take their pictures. And no, that's just turned into a massive,
wonderful
cosplaying wall. So no, that's certainly somewhere to check out. Now, where Chuck is talking about is around the back on the terrace. So if I go back to my map, we have the actual back of the convention center. If I just zoom in a little bit here. So we're talking about the main entrance here, and you've got all your different lobbies. I think it's, like I say, from lobby D. That's what I'm on about with the big board for the cosplayers.
Thank you.
And lobby C as well. However, on the back here, this section, which I'm kind of circling here, that is actually an open terrace at the back of the convention center. Around this neck of the woods, you also have a large, you have a staircase as well that leads you down to the marina at the back. Very pretty, very satellite view. You know what? That's a bloody good idea. Well done. Let's see if I can find it. There you go. Satellite view.
That just got bigger, didn't it? Bloody hell.
So there's sales. That's inside where we've just been looking at for the queue. So all of this here, like I say, you've got this wonderful area here, this piazza, which is like a stairway piazza. And all of this here is where you'll find, certainly when you have groups that are organizing cosplay meetups.
Wonderful.
So, for example, when you have a huge DC cosplay meetup, it will probably be organized for one of these areas. You often see, when you've seen cosplay pictures taken at San Diego Comic Con, and it's on the kind of like raised stairway. That's it.
That's it.
Right there on that area. And like I say, it runs pretty much down the entire concourse. Now, here on this side of the convention center, you will find that there are going to be tents lined up around this area, because this is how people are then queued up to get inside Ballroom 20, which is in there.
Wow.
So a little bit of a layout of the land, but like you see, very large building.
Yeah.
And it is completely filled with content inside the actual machine itself. So on ground floor, you've got your convention center. Upper floor, panels, presentations, all happening on the first floor of the convention center. What else have we got here? Those two stairs.
Picking up passes, Leonard. Whereabouts is that? They've got a certain area for passes when you have to pick them up there.
What's that? Sorry. Right, passes.
Yeah.
Right. So, like I say, sales.
Yeah.
All the administration is now being put into there. In fact, if I'm very specific about it, if you see where my mouse is, where that queue was is actually held in this section here.
Right.
Wonderful.
And it then leads into the actual convention center, down and in through that section.
Right, okay.
All this half then is either administration for CCI, passes, books, bags, everything that you need from CCI. There's also the art exhibition as well, which is held upstairs in sales. Sales is kind of like the central hub when it comes to the administration for CCI.
Wonderful.
So yeah, that is pretty much the ground zero for everything else. And it moves out from there. Getting into that building and getting into sales, you would actually then enter from a doorway, which would lead you in from Exhibition Way, from the front entrance.
Cool.
Dive in, guys, please. Any other questions? Because like I say, I'm looking at the time now. You've got like 7 minutes.
No, this is so far you've answered everything we've needed, but more importantly, you've made us more excited for the experience, which is I knew what we were going to happen. So wonderful, and I'm sure over the upcoming weeks we will come back to be a viewer in your streams to learn even more and to fill you in about what we will be doing, because now we're announcing this evening that we're going. We can start really hammering down the details because we're excited for it.
I have suddenly realized that I've barely scratched the surface.
Wonderful.
That's
great.
Scary thing. Barely scratched the surface. For example, I mean, very quickly as well, we've got Michael P and Andrew jumping in with some other bits and pieces. All the ballrooms are in the adjacent hotels as well. So we also have stuff that's taking place in the hotels. So, for example, you have the Marriott here. The Marriott Marquis. You've got panels happening in there as well. You will hear people talking about the Indigo Ballroom that takes place here in the Hilton. So you've got panels that take place in there as well. What else we've got? When it comes to ourselves, when it comes to picking up our passes, foreigners can pick up passes on the Tuesday. Yes, you can, and you'll be able to do that within the Marriott Marquis, and it usually takes place in this new part of the hotel, which is here on the far side, up against the main road. But that's where we'll be able to pick up our passes on the Tuesday. So there we go. Right, the guys are asking about socials, so we can spam you two and find out more about what you're up to.
Spam away.
We've got spam away. So, guys, we'll start with you, Luke. Where is the best place for people to find you online?
Just search for the Geek of Steel. That's me. That is the Frankenstein's monster that has taken over my life. Instagram, Facebook, X, and Threads, and all over the place. Anywhere where I can share my passions, whether it be through photographs or videos or podcasts. I love embracing this element of my life that has taken over a part of it. So wherever you are a fan of whatever social media account, just search for the Geek of Steel, and you will probably find my wonderful fairy face.
Wonderful. And Paul, where's the best place to find you?
Myself as well, on Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, and the website dcworld.org.uk. Links are on there, and also on their socials. Just put Paul Edwards DC World, and pretty much it starts coming up everywhere. So yeah, looking forward to chatting to a lot more of you, and thank you for everyone who's been in the chat. I've been reading all this as we've been going.
It's really helpful.
You have been. Is there anything that I've kind of missed that people have been talking about?
No, I think a lot of people have echoed off some of what you've come out with, or come up with some new ideas. The footwear was there, which was another good idea, and eating out and different places and stuff like that. So it's handy to know these little things, so we don't sit in there panic thinking.
That's it. But adult beverages, I think after most of the days we will be needing to relax somewhere. So
yeah.
Any advice about where to eat and where to go? We're going to be in Detroit for pretty much as long as we possibly can. So food and drink. We are going to be a part of San Diego. So
yeah,
we've all most options so far. People are saying go to In-N-Out. I've got to try an In-N-Out burger apparently. Yeah, okay, that's like 15 recommendations now.
Double, animal style, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying, animal style. So I am intrigued. So yeah, In-N-Out, that will definitely be happening.
Absolutely. The one thing I will say about San Diego, certainly when it comes to a city hosting the convention, it's not the cheapest city in the world. You can do it relatively cheap, but it's an affluent part of California. It's an affluent part of the States. In that regard, however, what you pay for is very, very good. The food in San Diego, for me, is absolutely stunning. Seafood's amazing because obviously right next to the harbor.
Yes.
Just the variety and the quality is, for me, very, very impressive indeed. And any place that does poor standing food doesn't last long. It gets filtered out very bloody quickly.
Wonderful.
So no, San Diego in that regard's excellent. Yeah. Now, Andrew is talking about broken yolk for breakfast. You have to do it at least once.
Okay.
You have to do it at least once. So search for broken yolk. It's it's a mainstay.
Put that in the book.
There you go. Get yourself written down.
Broken yolk.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew, for that. Appreciate that.
On preview night, that's where you'll find me.
Okay.
I definitely do broken yolk at least once, and that's certainly a place I go. And of course, we do have the Wednesday night meetup and Sunday night, same place for the Brits. By all means, I'll send you details. There's the UK attendees group on Facebook. We're more than welcome to have you on board.
Magic. Thanks
Okay,
so much.
Right, guys. It's like 2 minutes to go, so I'm going to let you get off and
thank you.
Your own Instagram.
Really appreciate you. I won't sleep tonight. You've made me more excited.
You are in for something very special. To finish up on, and this is more to temper things. Like I say, the last couple of years have been very different for fandom generally.
Yes.
2010, when I first went, was very much the start of the nadir. It's when the Avengers was rolled out on Hall H for the first time. It was a massive day inside Hall H. Marvel started and really put their plan out for what we saw of Phase 1, and it just then went mental. Yeah. Twilight, the next couple of years, everything just exploded for fandom and for San Diego Comic-Con. The last couple of years, with the way that the world's been, with the way that promotion and the way that they are spending their money on promotion has dialed back. So it has turned into a smaller, more distilled convention, slightly calmer. But that does not mean it's still not manic. Let's put it this way. When it was at its height, it was like necking pure Robinsons. Now there's a bit more water involved.
What a perfect way to put it. That's the perfect way to put it.
It's not the ultimate wake-up call, just slap around the face that it used to be. It's a little bit more restrained.
Okay.
Which makes it, for me, perfect. Because that's just a chance for them to just explore the convention. And the one thing that you are going to work out, don't nail yourself to an actual plan, because you'll hold on to that Brooklyn Bronco and fall off. Okay. Take it loose and explore. You are going to find so much new stuff that you didn't even remotely think that you were interested in, and you're going to find your new fandom. It's something else. It really is. Guys,
bring
it the hell on.
Yes, I'm ready.
I'm up for it. It's very, very good. So there we go. Guys, thank you so much indeed for coming on. If you want to join us again at any point between now and the actual start of the show. In fact, if you find yourself free 2 weeks prior to San Diego Comic-Con, that is when the panels are announced. And we do a full breakdown. What they do with the panels is they announce the lineup 2 weeks before each day. So you'll get the Thursday announced on the Thursday, Friday on the Friday, Saturday on the Saturday, and then Sunday. By the time we go live, the Sunday panels will be announced, which means on Sunday, I'm just blitzing through 4 days worth of information.
And that's where we're going to come running to you, Leonard, and say, look, help us, Obi-Wan, help us.
We'll try our best. You can't see everything, so don't try.
Magic.
But definitely take in and soak in as much as you can. You are going to have a blast. Guys, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
See you again soon.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
This has got me excited. This has got me jazzed. I'm really, really up for this. San Diego, not that far away now. And we barely scratched the surface there, didn't we? But if you are watching this, we're not going away just yet. We've got a couple, about 10 more minutes worth. if you came here for Luke and Paul, if there's anything that we didn't cover, is there anything that you do want to talk about? Do let us know, and we'll try and dive in. I mean, everyone else as well. The guys on the chat usual suspects, which is great because you also may have stuff that I may have missed. So, for example, Andrew English has got 2, which I am going to pop up on screen. Oh, not that one, the other one, this one. Grass outside the Hilton for pop-up events. Absolutely. We didn't talk too much about the off-sites too much, but we can talk about where you can see them. Certainly when it comes to this area here, right in front of the Hilton Bayfront, all of this area, the Balboa Landing lawn area, and indeed Bayfront Park, is taken up by off-sites. We had DC, Warner Brothers, showing up with the full lineup of Batmobiles one year, just prior to the documentary going out. So yes, I've got myself pictures alongside all of the Batmobiles right there. It was an opportunity. That is now a case of usually taken up by Adult Swim. We've had FX there for the last couple of years, showcasing their bits and pieces. I couldn't actually tell you what FX are doing in the way of genre-wise nowadays. I think everyone's kind of like dialed back when it comes to what they're up to. So what are FX doing? Is it just Walking Dead? So it could be a Walking Dead thing this year. And of course, you have all the way down the front of Omni, in front of the Balboa Park as well. Pretty much all the way down the Martin Luther King Promenade, you have yourself your off-sites as well. Lots of pop-up events, and it's the reason why the city turns into quite the event. Andrew English is saying as well, don't forget the SDCC app. Now, that is available on all the app platforms, but it hasn't been updated yet, which means you've got nothing in the way of schedules, maps, any kind of major information. Until that's actually officially announced by CCI, you're not going to be getting much up there. So you're looking about 2 weeks out when you start seeing updates when it comes to the CCI app. But certainly worth heading to your App Store, your Play Store, and getting the CCI app installed, pretty much up and running. Andrew English is saying, 2022 was superb as everyone was back. 2023 was dead due to the strike, entertainment-wise. I'd still say 2022 was a little bit subdued, but no, you're absolutely right. It was something to behold, and I think it was just everyone really excited to be back. I think that was the exciting thing about 2022. Michael P is suggesting Richard Walker Pancake House. And now Chuck Cook as well is somebody, him and his missus are 2 people who I very much take my food recommendations for, saying Richard Walker rocks, but the line will be absurd. Is it something to skip Broken Yolk for and go to Richard Walker instead? Time to get controversial? Who knows? Do you want to jump in on your comments, guys? If I'm going to choose between Broken Yolk and Richard Walker, which one would I go to? Tell me, please. Tell me, please. Yes. What else have we got to talk about? Let's talk as well about the last week's guest announcements when it comes to Comic Con. Announced on a Monday, so we get ourselves our next batch of announcements tomorrow. But we do have a selection of names that have been presented. This is adding to the 30 names already announced for Comic-Con this year. And these will either be people who have themselves special panels, preview panels. They've been invited because they're nominees for the Eisner Awards, which take place on the Friday, of course, in the Indigo Ballroom in the Hilton Bayfront. But yes, we have Barbara Brannan-Croft, who is the nation's first Black woman cartoonist to cross the colour line into the mainstream press in 1989 with a cartoon feature, Where I'm Coming From. So we're talking a groundbreaker and a trailblazer, absolutely. Mike Friedrich, who's written for DC and Marvel and has now moved to the business side of things, one of the first alternative publishers, creating the Marvel Comics Direct Sales Department and then founding the first business management company for comics artists. One of the original OG when it comes to the way that we actually enjoy our comics today. Ooh, Dave Johnson, yes, who is a 30-year animation and comics veteran. I have interviewed this guy before. He is one of the funnest people to speak to, and is indeed working for a whole run of publishers from Marvel, DC, Image, and indeed doing books for Distillery as well. More news about that in a second. Nominated for multiple Eisners and won once, known, of course, for Superman Red Son. Good guy, good bloke. Battle Pig, go and follow him. Very, very good indeed. Lee Ko is the co-founder of Bloodfire Studios and creating the hit indie comic Kindergoth, which led to one of the oddest collaborations in comics with legendary writer Len Wein, who celebrated, it was his birthday, or would have been his birthday a week or so ago. Yeah, good guy. Katsuri Mori, who's a long career as a Japanese voice actor with 50 years under his credit for a whole bunch of titles, including Gatchaman, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, and Speed Racer. And then Masaki Sato, who's an animator for more than 40 years, similar titles, and certainly somebody who is going to be a draw for the anime fans heading to San Diego this time round. So a hell of a collection. Again, more names getting announced tomorrow, so we'll talk about those next week. Let's have a look at this. We've got ourselves Chuck Cook. You know my personal opinion, Broken Yoke is mediocre, but it's kind of a scene. I understand, but I still like Broken Yoke. I think it's for the money. I think it's a nice, solid building. Although I do quite like there's a new breakfast or restaurant that's directly opposite the road at Broken Yoke. If they have managed to sort out their serving and get their kitchen in order and they're getting their food out quicker, that might be somewhere to recommend. But between the two, between Broken Yoke and Richard Walker's, Chuck is saying I pick Richard Walker's myself. Like I say, considering his missus is a food journalist, he kind of has to know his stuff because he has to keep up with his missus. So there you go. The other place that I was mentioning across the road, as Chuck is saying, Gaslamp Breakfast Club. I think I went there with Aaron one year, and like I say, we were kind of waiting, which is not what you expect from American restaurants. Usually they're a little bit more clued up than that. But yeah, there we go. I'd recommend it for the food. The food was nice. Yeah, do jump in. If you're watching this after the fact, jump in on the comments below and let us know where you eat in San Diego. Is there anywhere that you were recommending? What's your take on In-N-Out? Are you an In-N-Out person? Are you a Carl's Jr. person? Or do you think the pair of them are trash and you should go somewhere else? For myself, I'm a massive In-N-Out fan, but there is a burger joint in San Diego, which I'm wondering if I can actually find on the map straight away, considering that it's the greasiest, ugliest burger, and it was one of the most enjoyable things I've eaten ever. The Melt, that's it, the Melt on 5th. I'd recommend that. Like I say, that was the filthiest burger, and it was gorgeous. That's at the Melt on 5th to check that out. Where would you eat in town? Jump below and let us know where your recommendations are for eats in San Diego. And indeed, jump in if you are watching this after the fact. Any comments or questions, anything that you feel that we've missed when it comes to San Diego Comic-Con this year. Are you going for the first time? Is there any questions that we didn't ask? Any answers that we didn't give? Jump in on the comments below and I will cover those up tomorrow, next week, next Sunday. Yeah, we'll do what we can to cover as much as we can in the days leading up to, considering we are up to that final stretch, just over a month to go to San Diego Comic-Con. Anything that we've missed, do jump in. That's me. Thank you very much indeed for your attention. Thank you very much indeed to Luke and to Paul for coming on. I'm sure we'll get them back on, and I'm sure our paths will cross in San Diego. Do follow their socials, because heaven knows they are going to be running around like blue arse flies and absolutely buzzing off the excitement, which is San Diego Comic-Con this time round. Yes, Chuck, I'm going to link to his previous videos. He did these a couple of years ago. Andrew English, no comics this week. I've got nothing. I can quickly talk about that. So we'll talk about that in a second. I made a whole video, but I need to update it. He did a very, very good video, actually, about the food and eateries in San Diego. I don't think he needs to update it too much. What I'll do is I will find the link for that, or I will get Chuck to send it to me, and we'll get that uploaded on my socials. Follow me at EnglishmanSDCC, and I'll get that shared within the next half hour or so. So do jump in on that. I was going to say, Andrew English is saying no comics this week. Usually I would be doing a comics recommendation. But as it happens, once again, I've been a little bit tied up with life interrupting, some news when it comes to my father, all sorts of bits and pieces that happened this week. So I haven't been able to go to my comic book shop. However, I have had comics delivered to me, and as it happens, they're here. I'm going to put a little, this is what I'm going to have each week. I'm going to have a comic on display. And this one was sent to me. This is a pack of books which has taken part as a Kickstarter. I Took a Hammer to Hell. This is a book which has been written by Matt Garvey with art by Muriel Jarvis, and it is the Kickstarter, actually, not for that issue number 2, but for issue number 3, of which I got a couple of variants as part of my my rewards. So I got a variant for issue number 2, and I got issue number 3 as well. A story of a man with a lot of internal rage who is offered a deal to save his friends from a car accident, and makes a deal with the devil, except he feels he's been conned. So he decides to go to hell to pick a fight, pretty much. And yeah, I Took a Hammer to Hell. It's a lot of fun. It's very brutal. Paul talks about it being a very personal book. I certainly, there are personal themes in there, and there's a lot of heart when it comes to the characters involved. But the main story itself, it's all gruesome. It's a hell of a thing. I believe you can actually get the first 2 issues online. So if you search for I Took a Hammer to Hell, you can actually download the PDFs for the first 2 issues. Issue number 3 is the Kickstarter exclusive. So for now, I can enjoy it and you can't. But I think you can also go to Paul Abnett's page and you can find out more about when he's releasing this as an official purchase that you can either buy or download. I would highly recommend it. I Took a Hammer to Hell by Matt Garvey. That's my comic of the week. There you go. And I'm also catching up with my distillery books as well, which leads me on to a little bit of news. I knew there was something that I had to talk about. Number 1, future panels, future episodes coming up. We are currently lining our targets up to get one of the key members of Distillery, who's going to be joining us. He's one of the publishers of Distillery, and yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking him. That's Chim Mosier, who is a co-publisher for Distillery. We want to talk to him about number 1, the last year, the first year of Distillery, the exciting books that's been put forward. Also, their wonderful run at the Eisners with The Devil's Cut and several other books as well, and artists and creators under the Distillery banner, all being nominated. So this could be a brilliant debut year for Distillery when it comes to the Eisners. And also they have a booth on the exhibit floor. They did exhibit for the first time last year, which unfortunately I missed, but I'm looking forward to seeing what Distillery does with this year's booth on the floor. So Distillery, Chip Mosier, we're lining things up. Fingers crossed for next Sunday. If not, gonna have to organize something for down the line. Mark Abnett is watching. Hello there, Mark. Your comment hasn't come through. I don't know if you sent it as a picture or something. It was a GIF. I don't know what you were saying, but no, if there's anything you want to say, Mark, always a good to have you chime in. Right, just to wrap things up then. last piece of news, which is about panels. And we were talking about this earlier. We've got Michael P, who's saying he's got a panel. The panel has been announced. He's got himself one sorted out. Excellent stuff. Michael P is hosting a panel. I think I'll be attending that because heaven knows Michael is the dictionary definition of being a passionate fan. As anyone who's been a long-time viewer of this show knows, his love for The Expanse knows literally no limit. He is extremely passionate about that, but I'm curious to see what his panel's about. We'll find out panels, like I say, 2 weeks out from the show itself. Find out days, find out times. We'll find out more information, and certainly I think he'll be able to announce his own information in the next couple of weeks. But congratulations to you, Michael. Looking forward to seeing what your panel's about. I did have a panel, and you may notice instantly talking about that in the past tense. It was going to be a sequel to my 2016 presentation about the British invasion. The mid-1980s secondment of British talent to American and international mainstream comics, which changed the landscape, changed the language, changed the tone, changed the whole way that mainstream comics were viewed, purely by the use of language, the use of tone, the incredible talent that was brought over from the UK. I had a great time doing that panel in 2016. Wanted to do a updated panel for this year. However, as it happens, a couple of the guests that I had lined up either have ghosted me and started to move a little bit further afield and have kind of left me behind, or they haven't been able to get their times lined up to pre-record material which would have been presented on screen. And then the two guests that I actually had were going to be confirmed to be joining me on the panel, which was Cavan Scott and Paul Cornell. Paul can still join me, except Cavan, well, his star is a little bit on the rise at the moment. He is one of the architects of the High Republic for Marvel Comics and for Marvel generally, for Lucasfilm. And well, the High Republic at the moment is in big demand. Not only are the books and the comics very popular, but also, well, the Acolyte is doing rather well, regardless of the haters. It is all tied in with that High Republic stuff, and so Cavan, his star is on the ascendant, and he's busy, so he can't join me on my panel. There's a bit of a clash. Now, I'm certain me and Paul Cornell would be able to talk up a storm for 45 minutes, but I've decided what we're going to do is let somebody else have that room, at which point let somebody get all the time that they deserve, and I will spend a full year catching up with as many people as I can and making sure that I can put on a decent second panel about the British invasion, because I think it's a subject that deserves that kind of attention. So that's what's going to happen. Fingers crossed we'll have something for next year. Fingers crossed I'm coming back. But certainly for this year, unfortunately, no panel for me. That means less stress and more time to wander around and see stuff. I'm trying to work out what the downside is here. So, yeah. It does mean, however, that I can show up on a panel if someone wants to invite me. So I'm not having to plan anything and I can just rock up and sort of like feed my ego for 45 minutes. You're more than welcome to invite me onto your panel. But organizing my own, not this year. Maybe next year for part 2 of the British invasion. So there we go. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed it. Back again next Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. I'm now going to go over to Instagram and watch Luke and Paul do their announcement and see I want to see if they're bad mouthing me behind my back. Yeah, we didn't learn anything. We only got a couple of things. We could have done with more. Yeah. Well, this is what happens when we try and fit something like San Diego Comic-Con into a podcast that lasts an hour, and we're doing an hour and 20 now. Okay. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll keep an eye on news and updates. Of course, like and subscribe. We may even get ourselves an incidental episode on the cards. Who knows? Like, subscribe, make a comment, spread the word, and hopefully we'll see you again next week for another Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego, next Sunday. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.